Yep, I can do it.
Okay, cool.
All right. Oh God, what am I doing?
Turn, pause. Judith?
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks again for coming today. Join with us for part B of delivering 3 Rs in a K-5 classroom. I really appreciate you taking time out to get this information. All right, my thing won't move. All right, this is just a review. 3 Rs is rights, respect, and responsibilities, a free curriculum developed by Advocates for Youth. You need to go to their website. It's wonderful information there. It's age appropriate, is aligned to the National Health Education Standards and aligned to the National Sexuality Education Standards, which were just updated again in the spring of this year. And the objectives, you would learn about the 3 Rs, intervention, teaching strategies. This is a snippet of what's there. It's very, very long. You can download the entire thing. 3 Rs just came out in the spring with 3Rs Google class for the Google Classroom. So feel free to touch base with them and get that information. If you can't make the contact and you can't download the information, please let me know because I can do it for you. All right, last time we talked about disease prevention. We had breakout room about communicable versus non-communicable diseases. Anybody try that at all as yet? You did a, Andrew, you tried it? Okay. And then we did a poll about mental and emotional health. And we know this has been rough on all of us. And so a lot of people have been stressed, worried, anxious, very concerned, not only for your students, but for yourself and your family. How you going to operate in this new virtual world and be held accountable for student learning. So it's very, very interesting. We know this is new for everybody. There's no best practices. So we're building the best practices. Now, of course, all those charter schools who have been doing virtual stuff for a very long time now feel that they are the best practice. So you'll hear more and more commercials about that. Conflict resolution, we know that's very important. And then someone just said, those children who are always bothering other people now can be muted and their cameras turned off, But we want to make sure we give everybody, even those children, the skills, information that they can make better decisions about communicating their feelings and their opinions. We know that interpersonal communication is very important. We need to teach our children how to say what they need, how to express themselves without being forceful and angry all the time. So many of our children just don't know how to express themselves in a positive way. This time we're going to talk about what I like or dislike all times, some of the times. Talk about consent. Consent is really important. It's a big buzzword right now in all walks of life. People not expressing their boundaries and people crossing the boundaries. Interpersonal communication is really important. You can't keep quiet. You have to speak up about healthy relationships when it comes to our families and our communities. And our community and our families also is our school family and our school community. Talking about consent, everybody must be willing to decide and communicate their boundaries when it comes to their person. That means their body and their opinions and their things. I like that little diagram in the corner, upper right corner. Don't touch my stuff or my face or my things, my hair. A lot of young people like, oh, she got pretty hair. Oh, he has nice hair. Like they like touching. They like to touch each other's clothes. They like picking up people's things. They cannot do that. And you have to be willing to say, no, that's mine. Leave it alone. It's important that one seeks consent. I mean, permission to touch someone else or to share, borrow, use someone else's belongings. A lot of our children are not taught that. They think just because you say we're a family in our classroom, so everything in here belongs to everybody. No, it doesn't. So So you have to teach your children to ask first. And people respect it. Even young people respect it if you ask them first. Yeah, can I borrow a pencil? Sure. Just give it back. And then silence does not equal consent, no matter what age you are. From the young people to the older people, everybody must be able to express themselves and not feel ashamed or coerced or threatened in any kind of way. And then once you say yes, you can always say no. Consent may be withdrawn at any time. So our students need to know more about that, because a lot of them don't know that. And a lot of them don't understand what that means. So we want to make sure that our students know and that they can feel comfortable saying no or yes or maybe or changing their mind. Because when they start young, understanding what permission is and what boundaries are, then when they get older, they're willing to express their feelings about their respective boundaries. All right, we're going to try this next one, this next slide. How come it didn't? Oh. All right, look at the list to the right. It says if it's not clear, it's not consent. It's supposed to be fuzzy for a reason. You can't. So if it's not clear what the person gives you consent or not, you know it's not consent. You're supposed to take the words from the large column and put them in one of those 3 columns. I'm gonna give you all about 3 minutes, 2 or 3 minutes to do it. So try it, please. Take the first one, hitting, you like it sometimes or dislike it.
Judith,
Like, yes?
if I can interrupt, so they don't have this downloaded, they don't have this shared with them, so they're not able to do that. You could demonstrate it. You could ask some people to perhaps, go through the list, ask them to use the word that you're selecting, and then you can perhaps drag it.
It's not dragging, it's not doing nothing. Oh, I can't do it in this screen. We're trying something new today, folks. Bear with us. I got to come out of this mood then.
So also, just so you're aware, we're going to make the slideshow available in case you would like to have something of this nature, so that you can use it as an example or a sample, as it were, and you can create a background screen, and you can create drag and drops, which are pretty effective when you're working, especially with younger kids. But that's something that they would have to actually.
Yeah, it's
not. They would have to make a copy of the screen that you're using in order to respond. Very much like some of the activities that we had set up for this past spring.
Right. And I can't do it in this mood, so and I don't want to come all the way out because.
So another option, Judith, then is to just add to it if you'd like. I mean, you could identify the items and have people just select whether it's something.
Right. So what I'm gonna do it this way, especially the people I can see. Let me get to a gallery view. Yeah. For those of you who like something, thumbs up. Dislike something, thumbs down, and to the left or to the right sometimes. All right. Hitting. Let's see you. Okay. Biting. Massage. I can use one of them right now. High five. Kicking. Shaking hands. Shoving. Kissing. It depends. Holding hands. Oh, that's cute. Wrestling, roughhousing. Oh, yeah. Tickling. Sex. Hugs. Pushing. Patty cake. slow dancing, arm around the waist, tag, touch football, pat on the back, and forehead touching forehead. And for your little kids, some of these things you could actually ask them to model for you, like massage, high five, shaking hands, holding hands, tickling, hugs. Some of the really, especially the positive things, you can ask them to show you at home, themselves. And then you can ask them of some things they would add to the list, because they have other ideas that we won't even think about. Because we have to really know what they like and don't like. We know if all the sexual abuse, you got to be real careful touching your students. Especially, you got to be real careful, coaches and adults touching people. So students have to be concerned about that too. And they have to be willing to admit there's somebody that's touching them, they don't like touching them. You remember you go over uncle and aunt so-and-so's house and your parents always say, oh, give them a kiss. You don't want to touch him. He got a gruffy face and he smells terrible. I don't want him touching me. So we have to be willing to be able to say that, not to them, say it to the parents. That doesn't make me feel comfortable. We have to teach our kids to do that. Have anybody done anything similar to that? Okay. Next. Set your boundaries, speak up. All right, this is an activity. You assign your students to breakout rooms. You select a reader of the discussion questions below, select a recorder to document all responses, and then select a reporter to present the group's responses. Question 1, who could a student go to if they need some help? Anybody can answer that question, raise your hand and we'll unmute you or unmute yourself. Who could a student go to if they need some help? Come on, participate, please.
A teacher.
All right, who else? They're not in school right now, so who else?
A grandparent?
Yes,
Any trusted adult.
yes, but we got to tell them who trusted adults are.
A parent.
Their mom.
Their parent, their mom, grandparent,
Older brother or sister?
older brother, sibling.
An
Good.
adult at daycare.
Yes, daycare.
A police officer.
Yes,
A coach.
coach. Absolutely.
An older cousin.
Yeah, the babysitter.
Babysitter, yeah.
Who outside the home? You said police officer, you said coach, you said teacher. Who else?
Fireman.
Fireman.
A religious figure, priest,
Yes.
minister, rabbi.
Absolutely.
Doctor or nurse.
Doctor or nurse.
The crossing guard.
The crossing.
A neighbor?
Neighbor. Sure.
Bus driver.
Bus driver. Good.
Family friend.
Family friend. Yes. All of them are good. And then you also ask the students, who would they want to, who would they suggest? Because they might come up with some names we don't even think about at this point. And why do some people not tell? Why don't people tell?
They're afraid.
They think they're gonna get in trouble.
That they're going to get in trouble, right? And
They're ashamed.
they're ashamed. Good.
They were threatened.
They were threatened.
I think it's
They
their
feel
fault.
I think it's their fault. Two people spoke at the same time. Who was the second one? I didn't hear you.
They may feel embarrassed.
Embarrassed, right?
Maybe
They
no
might
one's
not-
gonna believe them.
That's a good one. A lot of people won't believe them. A lot of times, people don't tell no matter what age you are. And people are not going to believe them.
They don't want to get the other person in trouble.
So that's a big one. That's a real big one. They don't want to, especially if the person is a family member or a family friend. They don't want to get that person in trouble.
Might be worried about like what their family would do if they found out, because they know they might hurt that person and that could end up getting that family member in trouble too, the one who protects them.
Right. Yeah, but they don't realize we have to encourage them to tell, because keeping that secret sometimes does you more harm than helps you get better. You know, carrying that added weight, that burden, gives you anxiety, you can't sleep, sometimes they can't eat, they have headaches, other things like that, and they don't know why. So we want them to encourage our students to really speak up for themselves and for each other. Sometimes they'll tell a best friend and swear them to secrecy. And that's hard. That's, you know, sometimes that's not fair for your friend to bear that weight either. But we have to encourage our students to do that. And it's hard, whether they've been harassed, they've been bullied, they've been abused, they've been trafficked. You know, a lot of things are going on in this big city, no matter what community you live in. You know, there's always some negative stuff going on. So you have to be willing to help our students weather the storm, as it were. But also, this is all related to peer pressure. You know, peer pressure can come from somebody your own age, or it can come from somebody a little older that you look up to. I used to work with a lot of young people, and they used to tell me stories about their babysitters. You know, like, babysitters? Yeah, my mother and father go out once a month, and the babysitter comes over. And when the parents leave, the babysitter would have their friends come over. They would get high, they would have sex. And when his mother and your father would say, we want you to be like so-and-so, go to college and be a good student and be a good person. And they're like, yeah, you just don't know. You know, so when I talk to college students, I talk to them about, you know, putting the young person, they're babysitting to bed, and the person is really not asleep. Every shut eye is not sleep. They're at the top of the step listening to you, smelling, and, you know, and now they can take pictures of you doing whatever. So we have to be careful about, you know, making people mentors and role models who are exhibiting poor behaviors and poor judgments themselves. You know, we want to encourage our students. And so when you read the 3 R's, they have a couple more activities to go along with consent. And you want to teach our kids how to ask for consent. And also, if they have a desk in the classroom, that desk is their property. So anybody cannot touch their desk or use things on their desk without their permission. And they need to understand that and respect that. And as well, they need to respect their own space. You know, keep it clean, keep it organized. You know, we have to teach them early on, decorate it, those kind of things. I love going to classrooms where you see student work everywhere. And the students, as best they can, are trying to be neat and organized. It's one thing to see. Next. Healthy relationships. Oh my God. Good manners. Be your friend, be a good listener, be kind, take turns, help others, raise your hands, say please and thank you. I go to a lot of classrooms. Nancy and I visit a lot of classrooms, and we'll see, especially for the lower grades, where the classroom teacher has actually put up good manners all over the classroom. Because we need to teach our children that. Some of them just holler out. Some of them will get out their seat. Some of them don't want to take turns because they want all their attention. You know. Then there are others who are very helpful, very kind, very sweet. So we want to balance that out. And as you said before, working in the virtual world, you can see some of that now, where children are trying to be respectful. They're trying to help make good decisions and try to show their peers that you can get a lot more by being nice and respectful and mannerly than you can being a pain in the butt. You know? So they do. They want you to turn the camera off, mute them, you know. So a lot of them are welcoming this virtual world. But some of the little kids, some of them know how to do technology, but they don't understand that dynamic. They don't know when to be quiet. They don't know how to sit still because they're allowed to do so much at home themselves. Have any of you all taught anything on manners yet? Anybody? Speak up.
I just do it as ongoing. Like it should be a norm that, I don't do like a full lesson on it. I do it every single class that we start. Remember to be respectful. Remember to speak clearly. We're not having lunch while we're in the middle of our class.
Right.
I
Right.
refer to it as the golden rule, that you treat other people the way you would like to be treated. And if you're okay with people speaking to you, and then I would use whatever example was just the real teachable moment, somebody being rude, somebody not willing to share. And then as a group, we say, is that respectful? Is that how you would like somebody to speak to you? And I think that doesn't embarrass the child who's sort of being called out,
Mhm.
but it's a reminder to everyone that sometimes we forget that it's easy to do something to somebody else, but you sure wouldn't want to be the one receiving that behavior.
Mhm. Good. And then the students like to talk about what it means to be a good friend. They love to talk about that. There's some good activities about that. One thing I like doing when they're in class is put a card on the back of the person's body and have three people write something positive only. If the person has three things on that card, no one else can touch the card. Only positive things on it. And then have the student later on take them off and read it out loud. The students are astounded by what their peers think of them. A lot of them don't know. Smart, funny, trustworthy, dependable. They come up with a whole slew of things about people. I didn't know they felt that way about me. They never say anything to me, but they get to know that their classmates are watching them and realize they have certain traits. And some of them are really, really good. We don't let anybody put anything negative. It has to be positive. I knew a class that did this, and a couple of students said when they graduated, they still had that card in their wallet when they graduated from high school because they remembered. And that changed them. It really made them feel good that they were considered a friend. They were considered to be smart. They were considered to be a scholar. They were going places. So young kids recognize and they realize the worth of these kind words. And then we often talk to them of what are some kind things they can do for not only for themselves, but for their neighbors and their families. What is something kind they can do for somebody? When was the last time they did something kind? And oftentimes teachers use that as a homework assignment. Go home today and do something for somebody else and write about it. Just a couple sentences, even the little ones can write. I washed the dog, or I walked the dog, or, I picked up my grandmother's sneakers and, she couldn't bend over. I picked them up and helped her put her shoes on. I gave so-and-so a haircut, all kinds of things. Just little things, I helped a lady across the street. My mother and I helped a lady carry her groceries to her car, whatever. There are all kinds of things that they can do. Try to do something kind for somebody every single day. And then did somebody do something kind to you for you today? What did you say to that person? What did it mean to you? They need to know that. And then when it comes to playing sports and games, about taking turns. If you already got a plan worked out and it's not your turn, don't get upset. Your turn is coming. So we have to teach them that kind of stuff. And those of you who are coaches, I know you understand. It's real important. And we see it play out in professional sports every day. Some of them act very, very childish, and some of them, like, what? Because people are making them feel that they're entitled. So we have to be careful about setting our children up to be negative when they should be positive. And then one of the things that we need to also set our children up to be good listeners. At their age, their peers, their classmates say things or do things and let them know they're not having a good day. Something's going on and they might not know what it is, but they need to tell somebody. And telling somebody doesn't mean that you're being a snitch. Telling somebody means that you care and you want that person to get some help. Our children need to know that there are appropriate times where they need to tell somebody that, now, you need to say, I'm worried about so-and-so. He said something today that didn't make sense. That doesn't mean you're snitching. That means you're concerned. And it's all right to show concern. That means you respect them and you care about them. Oftentimes we do not tell our children to do that. Anyone else have anything about teaching good manners, helping others, being a friend? So many of our children don't know what a friend, we often ask them, what does it mean to be a friend? And there's another activity is write an ad for what you want our friend. So you like, friend wanted, and then write down a list of things you want for your friend. Some people are funny, tall, short. Of course, they put the physical attributes, but what other things? Dependable, trustworthy, shares, whatever kids need. And then they share that with each other. They get up and read that to each other. That's a good activity to do as breaking them out in breakout rooms. 2 or 3 students working together to come up with a list of what they would make. If they were writing an ad, friend wanted, these are the attributes I want my friends to have. They like doing that, And those who can draw on virtually, they can draw. Because it's real important that they understand that. And then when it comes to dignity and respect, gender role, gender identity, gender inclusion, more and more of our children understand this. They understand that. They know about more and more young people in elementary schools who are saying they don't feel right in their own bodies. They are allowed to talk to the counselor and a nurse as well as their parents about that. There are resources to help these children to further explore what they're trying to say.
It's also important to recognize, based on training that everyone has participated in with Policy 252, that we do need to assure that we are being very respectful of what we say and to who. Judith is absolutely on target. Our kids need to have opportunities to talk to people, but if they are unwilling to grant you permission to share any kind of gender issues or discussion with anyone else, we may not pass that information along.
Not even to your principal.
Right. However, if the student poses a risk to themselves, then you are absolutely required to pass that along. Thank you, Judith.
Oh, no. This is a hot topic right now. It's been a hot topic for older children, but younger and younger children now are expressing themselves, talking about gender identity, talking about orientation. It's all right to talk to them about roles. What are the roles of the father? What are the roles of the mother? Because so many of us have been affected by this. We'll see it more and more as it plays out in the community. There's a book called I Am Jazz. It chronicles the life of a young girl named Jazz, who started transitioning as an elementary student. Now she's a teenager, young adult. And she just had gender affirming surgery, her 3rd one. But we want to talk to our children. They will bring up all kinds of issues. They will really use negative terminology, faggot and dyke and all. Those children at that age know those words. You got to be real careful and real sensitive about those topics.
And with that in mind also, you want to make sure that you are only using affirming terms when you are speaking to your students about any content. It takes just one slip of a word from any one of us to isolate a kid and make them feel that it's unsafe to be who they are.
Yeah,
That-
even now, you could, if you have an office hours or have an office, your classroom set up. I don't know if you, some of you, how you have your classroom set up, but if you want to put a rainbow flag or whatever in, or just say, you know, everybody's opinion and everybody's accepted in my classroom, you can feel free to call me, talk to me, or contacting me about anything. That's fine. You know, a lot of people, even in elementary areas, have rainbow flags in their windows in their classroom to let the students know. So this is really sensitive information right now. A lot of people are pressing it. A lot of people are watching that. School District of Philadelphia is the leading school district in the country who had this policy. And now more school districts are following our lead and developing their own policy around this issue. Anyone have any comments about that?
I do. I have a comment. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can't see you.
Okay,
but-
thanks, because my computer is very funky.
Okay.
I dig where you're coming from, and I certainly respect that. It took me a long time to get there
Judith, what is it?
because
I don't know what's happening to my computer. Go ahead, keep talking.
saying, I respect what you're saying, but they never include the parents' role in these discussions. And I understand it's the school district, but parents are a vital partner in this. But yet I never hear anything about parents. And I think parents need to be held, in my opinion, accountable for many things that we have now taken roles for. And sometimes I don't want that role. I raise my children. I don't want to raise my students. That's why I have to have very clear parameters that I give to my students, because I don't want to cross a line and then find myself in hot water because, you know, I accidentally take a parent's role. But I never hear anything about parents in this venue. That's just my opinion.
Well,
Go ahead, Judith.
Thank you.
parents are always included in this. For the sake of this PD, this is about what's to do in the classroom. We definitely have conversations with parents. I do PDs for parents too, about the same topics, all these topics, how to talk to your children and how to have the talk with your child is one of my favorite, you know, because it is their role to teach their children. But a lot of them send their children to schools because they know they have a certified person who's supposed to have training in this to teach this. A lot of parents looking for us to teach their children this information so they don't have to do it. You know, we come from a different generation. Our parents taught us this stuff. There are a lot of parents don't feel comfortable. They feel that we had the education and that it's our responsibility, which is why so many are pushing for their students to come back to an actual classroom because they can't handle it at home themselves. Someone else was trying to jump in. Someone have a comment?
That may have been me, Judith. My only comment is, it actually would just back up what you were saying, Judith. You know, the PDs that we create and we design are set to benefit our teachers, to provide them with tools that will provide a level playing field for all of our students and the information that should provide a level playing field for all of our students. There are going to be times when our own personal belief systems are at odds with what we teach, but it's essential that we make a separation because we're not in the classroom to present our personal beliefs. We're here to present our curriculum, which, you know, we have vetted and we have input from a number of people before it comes out and trickles its way to the schools. There is definitely a process that's involved. I do respect, however, that it can be very challenging for some different content. And I applaud you for trying to maintain a separation so that you can make sure that you do your job and you do your job well and still maintain your sense of self. That's all I have, Judah.
Yeah, I agree that we're supposed to be teaching particular content, curricular, things like that. But we also are mentors. Unfortunately, we are surrogate parents, even though many of us don't want those roles, but we are that. But there's legal obligations for us too. And if you look at the school Board of Education's policies, you have all kinds of things about not only gender and non-conforming students, sexual harassment, about inclusion. There are all kinds of things that says any student that goes to the school district of Philadelphia schools or engages in school district of Philadelphia activities are protected and must be welcomed to those activities. So that means anybody, no matter their ethnicity, their gender, sexual orientation, if they're immigrant or not, what language they speak or not, they are welcome to participate, and we have to protect them. That means that it's our charge to teach them about puberty and life and how to make good and healthy and safe decisions, then that means we have to do that. I have separated my personal opinion and how I was raised from what I have to teach, because I want them to have the best information so they can make an informed and safe decision. We were trying to create health literacy here. And so many young people didn't. So many of their parents didn't have that. So their parents are looking for us. Because of the times, so many people know now that schools are discussing this stuff. And so they wanted to make sure that their students get the accurate information. We have to do it. Whether it feels comfortable or not. It's all right to be uncomfortable. So when you get to a lesson and if it feels uncomfortable, talk to a colleague, reach out to us so we can help you figure out what to say, what to do in that classroom. There are all kinds of videos and activities that help you do this information in a non-judgmental way that doesn't conflict with your own personal opinion and morals, as well as providing the student what she or he needs.
And Judith, I think it's also just important, some of the parents, they're not supportive of their children and their choices and just who they are. Because I've had students who have come to school beat up from their parents because of their sexual identity and change their clothes at school to fit more into who their identity is. And their parents come and catch them and beat them right there.
Right.
And it's happened more than once in schools I've been in.
And frequently we are the only safe place the students have. And not just because of gender identity, but just in general, that we're the one place that provides them with the things that they need. Should it be that way? No. In a perfect world, it shouldn't be that way, but we don't live in a perfect world. So all we can do is the best we can do by our kids. And if a parent is putting a child at risk, we need to make sure that we're taking the appropriate action and reporting the things we need to report. I recognize that that's a very uncomfortable situation, and it's a very challenging and difficult situation because it can cause a fracture in the relationship between you and the child. Mm-hmm. But the process is there because it saves lives most often. Is it 100%? No, but nothing is. And we have to do the best that we can. Again, we do the best we can, and it's going to be always, we make progress to try to help improve that child's life. It may not be perfect for that situation, but we do the best we can.
And feel free to reach out. If you need support, ask for it. If it makes you feel uncomfortable, that's why, you have Nancy and I, you have, the counselor, your nurse, you have other people to support you. Reach out to, if you have more than one health and PE teacher, or reach out to each other. You know, what did you do? How do you handle this? Because we want to make sure that our students are safe and that they make good and safe decisions for themselves. I remember a long time back, because I haven't been an elementary teacher in a long time, but I had a young man came to school every day smelling horribly. Oh my God. And I have asthma. He took my breath every day, but he came to school. And then, of course, the students would tease him and call him all kinds of names, and he would act up, and it was just every day, a show. And his friends kept saying, you got to do something. You got to say something to him. So one day I pulled him up and said, I need you to do me a favor. So wait for me after class. And they like, you asking him for favors? I'm like, yeah. Really, I wanted to get him alone to talk to him. So I encouraged him, and this was a sixth grader, to wash his own clothes every night and hang them in the basement. So the first night he did it and came to school smelling like a musty basement, but the kids accepted that smell versus the way he was smelling. So you never know. And he thanked me. And then, of course, a month later, he came to school looking like brand new money. Shined up, new clothes, smelling good. I'm like, what happened? And he was rescued by some family members and who took him from his mother, because his mother and her partner didn't want him and treated him like a stepchild and wouldn't give him clothes or anything. So you just never know. And I found out later from his friends, he never got in trouble. He went to high school, he did well. And he always talked about that day I rescued him. So you just never know what the impact you make on a child by just being there for them.
I'm going to jump in too. And Judith, I hope you don't get too offended with me, and that's okay if you do. But I think, you know, in light of where we are in the world, we have to be really mindful of the language we use, the things we say, and how they can be interpreted.
Yeah.
There are terms and words that we use, and we've used for years that we, you know, don't mean any harm by, but we have to kind of be a little aware of it. And to point one out is treating somebody like a stepchild. And yeah, I mean, and we have to be really aware of the fact that there are some children, some students who are going to be stepchildren that are treated very, very poorly, some that are treated very, very well, and everyone along the continuum. You know, it's difficult that we have to be aware of what we say. And I don't look at it as being necessarily politically correct. I think it's being aware of how we're impacting other people and being more certain of the language that we use and more intentional of the language that we use. And we're going to make mistakes. We're absolutely going to make mistakes. I do it regularly. You know, I just have to, you know, if I catch myself, I have to just say, hey, you know what? I just said something, and it may not have rung true for everyone. So again, Judith, I apologize, but I had to just pop in with that one.
Oh, that's okay. But there's also terminology I would use for teachers and not for students too. So, all right, we beat that one to death. So let's move along. If I can get my thing to work. Okay, now we're going to talk about the family. What makes a family, family structures. And all our families are different. We have different traditions. Everybody has different roles. We have different ethnicities, culture, responsibilities. There are all so many different things about our family. Even if we went down to our own block, you would see different things happening in our family. Even our own family members. You know, your mother or father might have 5 or 6 brothers and sisters. Each family has a different thing going on, and they look differently. So it's really important that students understand that. And you might ask students, you know, tell me something about a family you live with. You know, they'll tell you, I live with my grandma, I live with my uncle, I live with so-and-so. Like, okay, you know, that sounds good. And then there are all kinds of variations of families too. And it's always been that way for a long, long time. And for a lot of reasons. You know, you have parents and siblings and grandparents, you have parents, other relatives and siblings, you have foster parents and guardians and siblings. We have all kinds of things going on in all our families. And it's all right. You know, it's all right. So we want to talk to them about that, about our relationships, and that each of us has a different family. And kids understand that. Oops. I'm gonna try to play this video, this book. It's on YouTube.
The Family Book by Todd Parr. Some families are big. Some families are small. Some families are the same color. Some families are different colors. All families like to hug each other. Some families live near each other. Some families live far from each other. Some families look alike. Some families look like their pets. All families are sad when they lose someone they love. Some families have a stepmom or stepdad and stepsisters or stepbrothers. Some families adopt children. Some families have 2 moms or 2 dads. Some families have 1 parent instead of 2. All families like to celebrate special days together. Some families eat the same things. Some families eat different things. Some families like to be quiet. Some families like to be noisy. Some families like to be clean. Some families like to be messy. Some families live in a house by themselves. Some families share a house with other families. All families can help each other be strong. There are lots of different ways to be a family. Your family is special, no matter what kind it is. Love, Todd.
Now this book is part of the 3 R's curriculum. You don't have to show it if you don't want to, but it's just a sample of what's out there. All right, how do I get out of this? Anyone have a comment about that? How would you differentiate that in your own classroom? I lost. Anybody?
I think Todd did a good job as far as like providing those different situations. I think it would be a little more challenging for us to do. I think we could do it if we have students maybe draw what their families look like, how they, view what their families look like. I think that'd be a good idea.
I think kids today too, and I try to mention this, I've even seen it with my own niece, that on all these videos that they show on YouTube, these podcasts and stuff, or where they're videotaping these families, well, they only see the good parts of the family, and they don't show all the bad things. So a lot of these kids want their family to be just like these families in the video. Like I kind of felt that way, I guess, watching Brady Bunch. Like I wanted my family to have family meetings, and you know what I mean? It felt some certain type of way. But like, just to let them know, because they watch so many videos on this stuff like every single day. It's crazy.
Yeah, I've read that book, or shown the video to that same video to my students for the last 2 years.
And what was their response?
Well, just let them know that, what is your family like, and then like the one gentleman said, either draw a picture of your family or how is your family the same? How is your family different? Um, and just let them express themselves.
I think it opens up conversation, and anything that opens up conversation is good.
Right, right.
I have, in reference to that, I've noticed when they tend to draw their families, and with the younger ones, they're not sure about like I say around first grade, they're wondering like, well, when there's interracial families, that brings up a whole nother lesson it had in my class before, because some students, even at first grade, they think that, like maybe African Americans are only supposed to marry African Americans and have kids, and Caucasians are only supposed to, Chinese or whatever. And it really opened up like a whole nother lesson that I had to teach in reference to that. And even the kids that were the interracial children, they weren't aware, because it was never discussed in their household.
Well,
It was of the norm for them.
Well, that's what's good about that story, because they used colors. They don't use ethnic groups per se, which could put, kids and people in a box. They use colors, and they just say, different colors and whatnot. So it leaves room for discussion, but it sort of makes it more acceptable by just using the term or the approach of color, not, let's say, ethnicity or culture per se. Then, that's where you had said, may lead to discussion, but the book just kind of leaves it open-ended for you to, tie it up depending upon what the kids' questions are in your class. But again, it's not specifically relating to any particular culture, ethnicity, which is good about that book.
Right. Yeah, both good comments. Thank you very much. And then here's another video. This is by Amaze. Somebody else talked about Amaze videos.
Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Maya.
Judith, I'm going to stop. Can you hit pause for that? We can't see that.
You can't see it?
No.
No, there you go.
Now it's on. Now it's up.
Story about me and my mom. Tofu, hey, come on. And of course, my annoying cat, Tofu. Okay, so let's go back to the day when I first met my moms at the adoption center. Here is my very awesome mom, Jenna. What a queen. And my coolest mom, Raven. And here is me, a 2 years old, impossibly cute, awesome, heart-melting, and beautiful angel. Living with my moms has always been extremely fun and awesome. Like chilling on the couch, enjoying simple things. They even let me keep the neighbor's stray cat. I called him Tofu. I suspect he's vegan. My Christmas presents were always spot on. Left braid, right braid, awesome moms made perfect buns. Well, everything was just great until my first day at school. I didn't know anybody, but this cute girl sat next to me and we started talking. At some point, she asked me about my parents. So I told her that I have 2 moms, and she left. Since that moment, everyone started asking me different questions about my mom. Where's your dad? That's a good question. Dad, where are you? I don't know anything about my dad, but I know I love my moms and they love me. Who's fixing stuff in your house? Actually, my mom Jenna is a pro. There's nothing she can't fix. Are you a lesbian too? Nope. I actually like boys, especially this one cute guy. Listen, guys, bottom line, my parents are the best, and they are exactly like yours. As you can see, elementary school wasn't the highlight of my life, but it
Trace, I'm going to get the boys.
So when I first started junior high, I really wished for a new start. I felt I better be careful after my previous school experience. Though I was proud of my moms, I decided to keep my family as a secret. At least until I met Sasha. Sasha is a smart and chill boy that definitely could be trusted. I felt I wanted to share my story with him, but first, I decided I should talk with my moms. They always say the right thing. So there were several points they made sure I knew before talking with Sasha. The first step was to tell Sasha I need to talk with him about something important and personal. And next step is being honest about my personal life. Just so you know, there can be different reactions. Some people may not be supportive and may be just slightly confused, but they may also react positively and say it's not big of a deal. In some cases, you would be surprised to find out there is a chance they can relate to your story, like Sasha did. So thank you for being here. It was fun sharing my story with you. And don't forget to hit the like button, to subscribe, and to comment down below. Bye!
Oh, God. Anybody have a comment on that? I keep coming all the way out. Anyone?
I'm curious if you guys have the male version of that book.
You know, I'm going to interject here. This is my life. Hi, this is Jill. I know some people from the past. These are all social story books. I have a wife. I have 3 kids. All my students know this. I talk about my family. I tell parents about my family, because when I tell parents that I have kids at home too, and I'm going through the same things as they do, I get a really deep connection. There are also books that are there. I have so many social story books that my 5-year-old reads about this, and I have so many references, and I'll put my email address in the chat if you would like fun. There is a male version of it too, and I have it upstairs.
Yeah.
Jill, if you don't mind, if you could send it to, if you could let us know which books we should take a look at to review.
Okay.
Just so we can put it on a list so that everybody has access and they know that that they can use them. So if there's any pushback, we're there to back them up.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that information with us. But those are just a couple things. As you look at the Advocate for Youth 3Rs curriculum and at the Maze website, you'll see more and more videos. Please let us know before you use them, because all of them have not been approved as yet. But thank you very much. All right, then another activity that we think about, respect for all, pride. You should have pride about your family. So we want them to draw a family flag. So I would write the Peters family flag, and then I would draw what colors I want, what symbols I want to show family pride. This is a real easy activity, even if they're virtuals. A lot of children know how to draw virtually. There's a whiteboard aspect that they can actually draw and share. Whatever it is, they can do this. It's a real fun activity. Younger people love to draw. They just love it, and they're really good at that. Then remember that 3Rs, you should keep this slide. 3Rs, healthy behaviors, K-3. These are all in SchoolNet. You have to log in first, the SchoolNet. So we have already teased it out, the K-3, the 4 to 5. Then we have the education year at a glance for K-2 and 3 to 5 also. All right, so we're gonna now, this one little activity, because I didn't do a lot of activities like we did before. Let's see it. Nancy, how do you break them out in break room?
Well, you should have
I found it.
You got it?
I got it. So you can go into breakout rooms now. I'm gonna tell you what because I can't share my screen with you in this mode I'm in, but you wanna, and your pairs, introduce your partner to your family to your partner. Includes the size, languages, religions, foods, holiday traditions. We all have different things. For instance, you might say the number of my people in my family is such and such. Some of the foods we like to eat are. This is how we celebrate special occasions. Things we like to do together as a family are. What I love the most about my family is this little things. So we're gonna send you now to breakout rooms, and I'll call you back when you can. So you're talking about your family to your partner. You should have been assigned, should be assigned now to breakout room. It's happening slowly. There you go.
Judith, I paused the recording for this point.
All right.
Until we come back, okay?
Thank you. Yeah, I see now. I didn't notice.
No worries. It's gonna take a little while till they all go.
Yeah, I see. Pictures start disappearing.
Yeah.
Some of them are not moving.
It's a lot of people, Judith. It's over 140 people.
That's good.
Yeah, but it takes a while. It takes a little while.
It's getting down there. Why people?
I wasn't in anybody's break
That's
room.
all right. We know. We're fixing it. We're calling everybody back.
But I can't even get the chat room. For some reason on my screen, the chat room.
Come on. Somebody got to be proud of their family.
I'll share. I'm a sister of 5. I'm the oldest. I'm Christian. The rest of my sisters are Muslims. Our favorite holiday that we share, even though my other sisters are Muslims, it's a tradition from my mother, is Thanksgiving.
Okay.
Our favorite food is soul food.
What kind of soul food?
Collard greens, macaroni and cheese, sweet potatoes, turkey, chicken, fried chicken, fish, the whole enchilada.
Anyone else?
Come here.
I grew up Ukrainian. I'm the youngest of 4 children, and they're all significantly older than I am. We ate all Ukrainian food, pierogies, borscht, kobasa, rye bread. My family unit was pretty tight. We did all things, I guess, religious. We did all things scouting. So we did camping, hiking, mountain climbing, swimming in lakes in the summertime and that kind of stuff. And I had to attend school on Saturdays in addition to the school that I attended during the week.
Thank you for sharing. Has anybody or you or your family been prejudged or discriminated against because of your differences? Anybody want to share? Anybody?
I have one.
Go ahead. Who was that?
I would share. I have, I'm from 6 children. My sister is, half my family is also Muslim, and we are very Catholic. And I have, one of my sisters is a lesbian who has a wife with 2 daughters. My son is gay and has 2 daughters by surrogate. So we are forever in the area of explanation to people, and judgment stands before us every time. I mean, I don't really care, but we are highlighted wherever we go. Probably because we're in these small communities, having been in Catholic school, and in these open minds and communities, but we're good.
How wonderful that all of the children in your family are exposed to that. And it is their norm that we are a family, and no matter what anybody says about us, this is what family is. I think that's a beautiful story to share.
Thank you.
I appreciate that too, really do. Because a lot of people don't have that. You know, a lot of families have family secrets. You know, it's always been that way. And sometimes the meanest people are the people in your family. You know, sometimes people are not accepting right there and judgmental right there in our own families, our own communities. And so,
and it brings upon division between the family.
Yep. Yes, it does. Yes, it really does. And sometimes it's the division between the generations too. You know, sometimes older people are not able to bend, then there are other ones who are just love their family no matter what. You know, so it's really, I'm glad you all shared that. I really appreciate that. Has anybody ever had a situation where somebody had to who showed you respect and dignity because of your differences?
I had that. I live in New Jersey, and where I grew up, it was in Sicklerville. And I grew up in a predominantly African-American community, and we were the only white people around. I didn't know others existed besides my family because we lived there when I was like 3. So they welcomed us in open arms and treated us just like anybody else.
Right. And that's what neighbors supposed to be about, you know. And it's not just about families, it's about communities, about neighbors. Like I said, when I go to first, second, third grade classes, we talk about this class is your family in school. This teacher is your parent in school. You know, you're supposed to respect her. She respects you or him. You know, you're supposed to respect each other. You're not supposed to let somebody bully your classmate. One teacher was able to call me back because I gave him this whole thing about not bullying each other and standing up for your classmate. And she said that they went out to recess like the next day and somebody was bullying one of the classmates, and the whole class surrounded the person and told them, start yelling, stop, stop, stop. We're not going to have it.
Wow.
She says, so proud. You know, she had to call me and she wrote me an email. She said, I couldn't believe it. And she said the person stopped because there was so many of them and they were loud. Saying we're not going to have it. So little people will do the right thing if we continue to nurture and love them. And you are it. Sometimes doesn't feel good to be the one who has to do this. To broach these topics, to give them information, to share with them, but you want to give them strategies and ways they can actually have the conversations with themselves and with their family. This is a good opportunity to get them to talk to their parents. You know, some parents are sitting there listening to the lesson, some parents aren't, but you can say to them, now it's your turn. You know, I want you to ask your parents some of these questions, you know, and a lot of them do. A lot more parents are being engaged because they're in the house with their students.
Oh my God.
That's a silver lining, yeah, it really is.
You know, but a lot of people have been having real success with the parents, especially these younger grades. You know, they want to hear, you know, they got the kids bothering them, you know, answering the questions, but a lot of them said they're glad. You know, it's hard. This whole virtual thing is hard for a lot of people. But since they're home, since a lot of the parents are home, the students are home, we encourage the students to talk to their parents, no matter what the topic. You know, we're talking about puberty, we're talking about personal hygiene, we're talking about safety, you know, working in the kitchen with your mother, helping her, you know, talking about stove safety, handling knives, you know, playing outside. How many kids now we see are getting shot sitting on their own porch? You know, we're going to talk about all those kind of things to our students. So they need to talk to their family about having a fire exit plan in their house if the fire breaks out. How are they going to get out? This is the time we need to take advantage of being at home, them being home with their parents, bring these topics up and make them have the conversation with their parents. believe it or not.
And
The
answer their
parents really-
questions too, because I think that by this time, I think we've all really built that trust with so many of them. And now I teach first grade, so the little hesitant questions, they start to speak and then they pull back because they're afraid they're going to get in trouble, but they really want to know, that they're being torn. And I always tell them that this is a safe space. You can't ask me anything that I'm going to get mad at. And those questions have been questions from the heart, where they have been hiding confusion or things that they were just too afraid to ask somebody at home. Everything from, why do people hate Donald Trump? And, all the alarm bells are going out. Do not say anything.
Right.
But it's still a question that it's relevant. And I ask them, when you say, my mommy wants to vote for this person, or I would vote for this person, what is it that you want to know about them? And they all stop. Like that was a question that they just pick because they're bandwagon. They hear somebody, they jump on. And I said, people have very, very important things that are important to them. And they need to find the person who agrees with them. And they were like, it was that light bulb moment. In a second, they understood what it meant to be for a candidate or against a candidate. But those conversations, they're the kind you tiptoe on eggshells and hope you don't say something that just puts you on the other side of a line, which is, we all go through that with racial tension, with police, with so many things. And it's exhausting, but I'm never going to back down from a hard question because I know how hard it was for a child to ask that question too.
That's great. That's
Absolutely great.
I'm going to interject for just a moment. I'm going to put the attendance link in the chat. Please make sure that you copy it and you paste it into another browser, because this is the only way that I can record that you attended. Please. All right, so here we go.
We don't want any notes tomorrow or Monday.
You may actually even be able to click right on it. It looks like it might be a hyperlink at this point.
Just remember, health and physical education teachers are life coaches.
I clicked on it, it worked.
Thank you.
You mentor, you help change, give advice, you teach strategy.